I'm interested in your take on how this Chiefs defense has turned around, because that was always the weak link in Kansas City, but Spags has absolutely transformed it. I mean, are they going into the playoffs as one of the strongest defensive units right now, or is that overstating it, do you think?
No, you're not overstating it. They have gotten better as the seasons went on. And I was under Spags, but I was on injured reserve. But talking to people and players that first year, as the year progressed, they got better because they learned more about what Spags wanted.
Right.
They were like, okay, this is how we do things. This is what we do. This is what he's teaching. It takes a while, right? This is a new defense. And this is the same thing you're seeing in Kansas City. And the players started to see the success with the scores they were having, holding teams to low points. I mean, two wins in a row, they kept the 3 points,
Yeah.
I mean, that was Denver and Chicago,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't matter who your opponent is. It matters what it feels like.
Right.
What does it feel like? So they started believing what Spags was saying. And the one thing Spags does well is he develops these little different blitz packages from week to week using his linebackers, different stunts. And that's all game plan specific. And in the back end with Tyrann Mathieu, he's doing all these combination covers. So they're going to definitely do some things where they're doubling Hopkins from different areas. They're going to keep them guessing with that. And the guys are getting good at that. And you're seeing the result. They are playing, I wanted to say excellent, but they're playing extremely well, and they're getting better. And it's all about the things working and them believing what Spags is saying, and that's happening.
The stats don't lie either in this one. So you look at the difference from the first 10 weeks of the season to where we are now. First 10 weeks of the season, and of course this was an offense for a while that played without Mahomes, but defensively they're 6-4 the Chiefs went. They were allowing almost 24 points a game, 370 yards a game. Since week 11, unbeaten, 11.5 points per game, just over 300 yards allowed. I mean, there you go. In terms of the Texans' offensive line against this defense as well, that's obviously a big concern and Buffalo, and it's not just on the line. I know Watson hangs on to it too much, and that's why the sacks are inflated, but that's got to be a matchup that's going to worry the Texans right now. They haven't managed to get this right. They went through a phase where they were getting better protection and obviously bringing in Laramie Tunsil. That was all predicated on this is a weak area. We've got to get this sorted out. But it's not playing out that way at crunch time, is it? The Chiefs are going to fancy that matchup.
Yeah, but once again, I think, yes, it's easy to blame the O-line, and they've worked their way to kind of fixing that, especially with Tunsil. That was huge for them. This is I hate to say it, this is on Deshaun Watson. Elite quarterback. Look, he's great, and he's going to be. Oh my gosh, the NFL is so lucky to have him, as are the Texans. Obviously, I'm happy about that. But as a quarterback, you go to the next step when you understand how to make your offense's weaknesses invisible. You have to say, I got to do this. Is a year Tom Brady threw the ball, and he got rid of the ball quicker than ever because he knew he had to. And I think they won a Super Bowl.
Is that a problem though? Is it Will Fuller and bringing that full circle? Is that a big problem that when he doesn't have that downfield threat, that burner threat, that it just puts extra pressure on him, which inevitably leaves him hanging on the ball for that extra bit of time that is the difference between evading a sack and not?
I think the way the offense is, they want to throw the ball vertically down the field because that's what he does well. So that's a part of it. And I just think when you're as good as Deshaun Watson is, if I just hold on one more second and I'm brave, I can make this.
Yeah.
So it's that dynamic of you don't want to take away his MVP, Houdini type of stuff.
Yeah.
You just got to know, when to pull it out and not. It's a part of the game that he has to be that for them to win. I'm just saying at times he's got to think of the situation and say, it's all about this right now.
Yeah.
When it's on the line and I got to make it, it's like what he did last week. It doesn't matter.
It's such a good point you make, though, that if you have the skill set that someone like Deshaun Watson has compared to Manning or Brady, and you know that you can make this play, you can keep this alive. And I guess there are other quarterbacks that you would put in that mix. Aaron Rodgers to some degree is there. Russell Wilson definitely is as well. You can have a different mindset with a certain play, and you can't, as you said, take that away from him. That's part of what makes him great.
Nah. And when I evaluate a quarterback and how I talk, about him. I always talk about the things I think he can do because he can do he does so much.
Right.
So I'm just looking at like, man, what's the only way what's the only advantage the opposition has?
Yes.
And with him, man, he's got the it factor. He just needs to say when the it factor needs to be plugged in or not.
Hope you enjoyed the Nat Coombs Show presented by Paddy Power Fantasy. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click subscribe to ESPN UK and you won't miss a trick.